Hey, is it true? Is it true Nights in White Satin took 5 years to finally reach its chart peak? Yep.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Yep. It is indeed true. I'm Phil Yale. That gentleman right there, that's Trip Rogers. He's our resident radio music guru. And I'm challenging him and you in the A-Side Challenge to name 5 more of the 2018 Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductees, the Moody Blues top 40 hits. Now, here's one hit. The first hit features a completely different lead singer and sound that few of us associate with the group called the Moody Blues. And once
Go
we get,
Now Go Now, their first hit, Denny Lane is the lead singer.
you've already got two. You've already got 2 out of the 6. That's the A-Side Challenge. Now the B-side, we're going to track down a B-side hit that it was a B-side for the Moody Blues, but a hit for a totally different group. In the Insider segment, we're going to find out from Trip how DJs select songs for their playlist. And to wrap it up, I'll play the Confider and I'll confine things that I learned as a result of this episode. So let's take a sip of our favorite beverage and get on with the challenge. Trip, we already have 2 of the 6 that we're looking for, Nights in White Satin and Go Now. What other Moody Blues top 40 hits can you name?
Tuesday Afternoon, which
Tuesday
is also
afternoon.
on Days of Future Past. Gonna skip forward because they had a couple of hits in the 80s. The Voice.
The Voice.
um,
That's right. Peaked at number 15 in 1981.
Gemini Dream.
Gemini Dream. Also the same year.
Yeah. And Stepping in the Slide Zone, I think, got into the top 40 in 1977.
Wow. It did. It came in at number 39. Very good.
Yeah, yeah. And
So,
I love the Moody Blues. And story to be told, I have a friend, a very good friend, who I went to church with. She is Moody Blues, mega fan club, everything. And she said, we got to go see the Moody Blues. So she took me to a very famous music venue outside of Philadelphia. And we saw them one summer. And I was actually the last concert I saw before COVID, believe it or not.
mm,
And it was just wonderful. And she had us like right up front. When you go to a concert, you're sitting like, 2 rows from the stage. You're like, wow, it's an all-inclusive thing. First song that they did was Stepping in the Slide Zone. And I'm sure, Question. There's another one I just thought of off the top of my head. Question.
yes.
Um,
You've
oh,
got 7 out of the group that I was looking for. You've already
yeah,
met the
yeah.
challenge.
The other thing I'll say about the Moody Blues is, and the one thing that was so cool about this concert, this was in 2017, I saw them. And what was so cool was they did Days of Future Past.
Yes.
Now, in Days of Future Past, the original album, they had Sir Alexander Scoresby, who was the narrator. And so for the new version, they got Jeremy Irons. Both of them sound the same, but it was so cool. It really was.
You know, as I understand it, you talked about Nights in White Satin and Tuesday Afternoon. Those were off the album Days of Future Past. That album really put them on the track. Up until that point, they were really struggling. And there was, as I understand it, there was a record label that really wanted to kind of test what it sounded like to put out an album stereo. And Moody Blues happened to be the group, and as they say, the rest is history. Let's go through the entire list if we can. Go ahead, Trip.
Real quick, Phil, real quick, before you do that, just to expound on that, remember, in the 1960s and in 66, 67, this is when the Beatles had retired, then Sgt. Pepper had come out, and it was this concept album, and the Beach Boys had released Pet Sounds, and the record industry shifted from a singles-oriented industry where albums were a second thought. They didn't care. They filled them with, whatever they could. And then it became an album oriented industry. And this happened like almost overnight. And so the groups that were able to adapt to this, such as the Moody Blues, these albums, these concept albums that you would have that would have this theme running through them. Days of Future Past was one of those. The Knights in White Satin story, obviously, the song was 7 minutes long, and back then, Top 40 Radio would not play it. But in the 1970s, early 1970s, you had a lot of FM radio station, progressive rock radio stations that would play songs like that and would play longer cuts like that. Actually, radio started to move to that, by the way, in the late 60s too, because you'd hear longer cuts on top 40 radio stations. But, the idea was to turn over the playlist a lot. And that was one of the reasons why all of a sudden Days of Future Past gained some traction. It never really did well in the United States in 67. And then in 72, it was like, oh, the Moody Blues. And the other part of it was the Moody Blues had come back and had the hit with Question. So that kind of led into, oh, the Moody Blues. Let's play this song. And that's when Knights in White Satin became such a big thing.
At Nights in White Satin, it peaked at number 2. It was their highest charting on the US Hot 100. It was released in 67, hit number 2 in 72. That was the first song, their highest charting song. Their second highest charting song is Your Wildest Dreams. That was from 1986. It peaked at number 9. We talked about Go Now. That was actually released in 1965. It just doesn't sound like the Moody Blues at all. And by the way, hey, viewers, what's your favorite Moody Blues song? Let us know in the comments. Sure like to hear from you. Number 12 on the charts, this song peaked at I'm Just a Singer in a Rock and Roll Band.
Rock and roll band.
Yeah, 1973.
Good song. Good song.
You already mentioned Gemini Dream. You mentioned the Voice. You mentioned Question. Question's a great. Actually, you get 2 great songs in one because it's 2 totally different songs kind of melded together. The Story in Your Eyes from 1971 peaked at number 23.
Yeah.
Tuesday Afternoon peaked at 24. At number 27, I couldn't quite figure out. This song sounded like another song. I don't know if it sounds like ELO or not, but it's Sitting at the Wheel. I really wasn't familiar with the song. Isn't Life Strange? Great song.
Yes. Yes.
That
Yes.
that peaked at 27. I think is their it's their final top 40 hit. It was in 1988. Want to take a guess?
Oh, I can think of it. I know you're out there somewhere.
I know you're out there somewhere. And then, of course, the last one in the top 40 is Stepping in a Slide Zone.
Yeah, Step in the Slide Zone.
That is the A-list challenge. Yep, is going to share how songs are selected for each of his daily shows. That's in the Insider. At the end, he's going to give us his 3 favorite Moody Blues songs. It's called the Trippin' Up Triple Play. But before we do that, we're going to get into the B-side. I'm going to talk about B-side discoveries. Finding these hidden stories on B-sides, it's a favorite topic for many music fans. I think I found an interesting one on this one. They had a song, it got inside the top 100. I know it was part of their live album that they did at Red Rocks. Was it Red Rocks? The live version?
Yeah.
It was one of it's one of the very first CDs I bought. The name of the song is called Ride My Seesaw.
Yeah, Ride My Seesaw.
From the 60s. The B-side is a song called A Simple Game. Trip. It was a hit for a Motown group, minor hit in the US, never got inside the top 40 on the US Hot 100, but it was a number 3 hit in the UK. You want to take a guess on the group?
What was the name of the song again?
A Simple Game.
I'll say the Four Tops.
Give yourself a high five, baby. 4 Tops. They took it to number 3 in the UK, number 39 on the US R&B charts. The song was written by keyboardist Mike Pender, and in preparation for this episode, I listened to both tracks. It's definitely a much different version, between the Moody Blues and the one that was done by the Four Tops. Okay, that was our B-side. Let's get into our inside. Time to go into the broadcasting mind of Trip Rogers, our resident insider. The
Are
host
you
of
sure
Nat
you wanna go in there?
Oh, I don't know. It's a little risky, but I know the editor. I know the editor. He hosts an afternoon show on WRHQ.com, also a program directory. Got this. Inquiring minds want the inside scoop. Tell us about the who and the how of getting songs to be included in a radio station playlist. Who makes the decision and what is that process?
Well, the one thing that has changed in radio over the years, and the Music Yearbook Show, I kinda spotlight this because back in the '60s and the '70s, before computers, um, radio stations would compile their playlists, and essentially it was unique for the area. There were, WABC in New York was kind of the most listened to radio station. It was watched. It was a very small playlist. Their AM compatriot in Chicago, WLS, had a larger list, playlist songs. It was controlled by the program director there. CKLW in Windsor, Ontario, and Detroit. Rosalie Tombley was, she was a music director, highly regarded for the sound of CKLW. But that's essentially how radio station playlists were made. Unfortunately, over the years, with the consolidation, and you also have radio stations that a lot of the decisions are made by national program directors. The local aspect of it is taken out, except at Q105.3, we are a local radio station. I am the program director. I'm the one who makes the decisions, what we play, what we don't play. In the old days, it was up to the on air person to do it. So essentially, if you were running a top 40 radio station, let's say you had 30 songs on the playlist. Um, so you would have basically the 10 hottest records, and Hope enjoys it. 15 B records. Then maybe you'd have some recurrence. Those are songs going down the playlist, and maybe you would have 6 or 7 new songs, C songs. And basically in the hour, you would play an A, a B, an A, a C, an A, a B, an A, a C.
Oh,
You're gonna throw
okay.
in some
Yeah.
older records too. And that's how you would do it, and that's how radio stations do it. Now, with computers, the computer spits out the program and it programs the music that way. In the old days, some of the other radio stations, WMMS, I think there was the air personalities chose the music back in the '70s that they would play. Again, you would
Yeah.
have these albums in the studio, and you would pull out all these albums and you would play them. And listen, even up until the 1990s, I would go in before my show. I would pull out, you would have stacks of records or whatever, and I would pull some stuff out to play. But even then, we had a playlist that was printed out. I mean, in the '80s is when personal computers came into the businesses and then into the homes, and that was the way they would be able to uh, do their playlist. I know a lot of the big stations program everything out of their main office and send everything from there, and the playlist is the same whether you're in New York City, Cleveland, or whatever. It's the same playlist. And unfortunately, that's the downside of radio now. It's not as unique, and I think that's what made radio so exciting and so much fun back in the day. Yeah.
Um, so as I understand it, you're on, let's say your show starts at 2 o'clock. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. So when you go into the studio, the playlist for your show has already been predetermined. Now that's been
Correct. Yes. Yes.
predetermined where
Yes.
you took advantage of a library of songs that are available that are categorized as A, B's, and C's, and then you personally have pre-selected those songs and they're already set up for your show. Is that
Yeah,
did I get that
yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Okay.
essentially, it's a computer program, and, I mean, on Q105.3, I guess would be a good way to well, no, I you can even say that with WTRS. I have in WTRS, it is an oldies-based station, and I always when I talk about my radio station, I mention 70s, 60s, 80s. So, a majority of what we play are 70s, we play then second is 60s, 80s are 3rd. So we'll play and if you listen to WTRS, you will hear probably 380 songs an hour every 20 minutes or so. You will hear probably I'm trying to have 50 we usually have 15, 16 songs in an hour. So I want to say you'll hear 7 well, you'll hear yeah, 770 songs, 660 songs, and then 380 songs. That's how we do it. And the computer is the one that does that and puts it in according to the categories. Oh, there's also other things that go into programming. Like on the weekends, I always like to have top of the hour, I like to have an up tempo song. So every other hour, I'll play a song from a playlist that I have that's up tempo. It can be a 60s or a 70s, sometimes 80s song too. And it gets played top of the hour because again, you want to be upbeat. It's the weekend. Yay, we're done. We're moving on, that kind of thing. There's a lot that goes into programming music. That's where radio has really changed. The human element of it in some ways has been taken out.
The important point of distinction is when you talk about you use the phrasing computers do it. Computers serve as a resource of a library that provides information on the various tracks, but it is not AI that is selecting the music for your radio station there in Savannah and what you do on WTRS radio and what you do on the yearbook.
Even if it is a radio station that is programmed nationally, there is still somebody who has to sit there and go through the log and say, okay, this is what we're going to play. And you've got to make sure it fits. You should give a listen to WTRSradio.com, which is on live365.com and the TuneIn Radio app.
I do indeed listen to WTRS radio. Great station, wide variety. Got some great
Thank you.
shows on the weekends, by the way. All right, that's going to be our wrap for the insider. We've talked about A sides, we've talked about B sides, we've talked about insides. Now we got something called the confider. Rhymes with insider. This is where I leverage off of the phrase I've often used. I learn something new with every episode that I do. That includes the preparation and the conversation. And here are the things I've learned. And Trip, I'm just curious if you learned anything, but let me go through my list. I learned that Denny Lane left the original Moody Blues and joined the Wings. I wasn't aware of that. I learned that Tuesday Afternoon was actually a charting hit before Nights in White Satin. I didn't realize that. I realized just how few Moody Blues songs I can actually name the title of. I know the songs, I just can't come up with the title, and Days of Future Past, by the way, is one of my top 10 albums of all time. I love the music, but can I come up with the song titles? I admit I can't. From you, I learned about the A, B, and C method for categorizing songs and how local stations still are able to provide that local flavor and the regional aspect of their song selections as long as they still have the human element involved in their playlist. Trip, anything else you want to add to the list?
I think the thing that I learned, if you really look at the Moody Blues, they really did not have a lot of top 10 songs.
Viewers, if you learn anything as a result of this episode, let us know in the comments. Trip, we're now down to the final, which is the Trippin' Up triple play. What are your three favorite Moody Blues songs from this episode?
First one I mentioned was "Steppin' in the Slide Zone," which I love that song. That's a great song. I'm gonna go with, "I'm Just a Singer in the Rock and Roll Band" because I love the way that that song, opens with the drums, and, it's a great song. And then the other Moody Blues song, which I really actually, I got 4. I'll go with "The Voice" because 'cause I've always liked that song, and, "Gemini Dream," because that was one of their last hits in '86. I always liked that song too.
Only because I think it is symbolic of our times. I'm gonna go with "Isn't Life Strange?" Listen to Trip weekday afternoons on Q105.3 in Savannah, Georgia, WRHQ.com, WTRSradio.com. That's on the TuneIn Radio app. Music Yearbook, that's a weekly show with Trip Rogers. Find it on Facebook, on various affiliates, including Vinyl 91.9 WBNJ in Barnegat, New Jersey, and 107.5 in Savannah, Georgia. Hey, thanks for joining us. Keep those music memories spinning by watching one of these videos. Until the next time, keep that coffee brewing and the conversation flowing.